Welcome back, everybody, to the Wandering Samurai Study, in which we review and analyze every single act told in Rurouni Kenshin, and today's act is Act 25, Duel of the Masters. 25, the big 2-5. Hey. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of throw it out there. I don't care for Shikijo. He is the least memorable member of the Oniwaban, in my opinion. I think Beshimi holds a lot more of an interesting character in him, that he is kind of like just this little small man that can poison you, or he sneaks up when you least expect him to. But Shikijo is just a tank of a character. He tries to explain why he has all of these scars and stuff, and I frankly don't find any of his reasonings or anything about him very much interesting. Yes, he has scars. Kenshin has scars, but at least Kenshin's scars are a lot more interesting, And not to mention, we really only spend 2 chapters with him until the big conclusion where he comes back. He's fine. It's whatever. Though, I do have to say, I did find him a little bit interesting after watching this one video on YouTube titled "Shikijo is a Liar." I'll go ahead and maybe put in a link down below for you guys to check that out. Good stuff. But anyways, I'm rambling. Let's go ahead and get into the chapter summary review, and we'll talk about the highlights. Kenshin and Yahiko continue to ascend the mansion as Sanosuke and Shikijo begin their fight. Shikijo seems to have the upper hand on Sanosuke and tries to recruit Sanosuke into the Oniwaban, admiring Sanosuke's strength. Sanosuke declines his offer, stating that the Oniwaban only stick together around Aoshi because they value strength above all. Sanosuke knocks Shikijo, wishing him to find whatever he may have lost along the way, and collapses. Kenshin and Aoshi meet face to face. So before we actually get into the heart of the matter with Shikijo and Sanosuke being the big meat of this chapter, I want to talk about Kenshin and Yahiko for a brief moment, as we get to see them in the beginning. Yahiko says something about why not hanging back and supporting Sanosuke, and Kenshin says something about, well, would you think of Sanosuke as somebody who would want us to help him? And Yahiko says, fair point, but I seem to recall in this very arc a moment where Kenshin and Yahiko were both present, and Sanosuke had his go at Hyotoko, and then Kenshin intervenes, and then Sanosuke seems to have finished off the fight. Am I wrong in remembering that? But on that note, Sanosuke versus Shikijo. It was an interesting fight in that it ends in a draw. I guess I have to give it to Shikijo and Sanosuke. Shikijo really seemed to have underestimated Sanosuke, and then somehow estimated him.
Well, maybe next time you will estimate me.
Because he calls Sanosuke a third-rate fighter, but then he tries to recruit him. And that is kind of a funny thing to think about, because it's like, okay, Shikijo seems to have the upper hand, at least in the beginning, but it seems that because Sanosuke has managed to last as long as he did against him in that brief bout, he says, okay, well, you're pretty good, so why not join the Oniwaban, and we can find something for you, we don't care about your past, which is I'll get to in a sec. But I don't know, I just, you maybe should estimate him properly next time.
Well, maybe next time you will estimate me.
Okay, but seriously though, Sanosuke turns down his offer, as he says that the Oniwaban only seem to value strength. That's the only reason that this group values Aoshi so much, as they've recognized the strength in their leader, but their leader has also recognized the strength within themselves amongst the group. It seems that Aoshi has cultivated this idea within the group that strength is what matters the most, and it's something that we see for the duration of Aoshi's arc within the narrative, as Aoshi's presence in a later arc, spoiler alert, in Kyoto, he's still holding on to this idea of being the best through strength. I guess this is kind of like where we really start to kind of see it. I guess the idea of strength is something that he's ingrained into the group themselves, and as I guess this is kind of explains why Beshami is probably not as respected as everyone else. This idea of strength is something that Aoshi has ingrained into the group, which would probably explain why the group values him so much, and then maybe why Beshami is not considered or as respected as everybody else, because at least Shikijo acknowledges the strength of Hanya and has described Hanya or has talked about Hanya in a way that seems very familiar, or in a way that seems kind of like he values him as an equal. But we have seen the way Hyotoko talks to Beshami, where Beshami is trying to lead the group and as I guess as the lead of the assault, and they tell him don't give him orders. So, you know, there's like a totem pole of strength in between them, where Beshami seems to be at the bottom as Megumi has described him to be, and then Aoshi is at the very top. And this is how Aoshi has found them. He has recognized the strength within themselves. And I believe that this is the reason why all of these characters seem to have a sob story. There's two purposes for the reason why they have sob stories. One of them is for us to kind of get a little bit of emotional attachment to these characters, understand their angle and why they're involved with such a man as Kanryu, but also to kind of see that these people had difficult lives, so much so that they've become strong for the sake of survival. And so when Aoshi finds them and brings them in, it's because they've had very, very rough lives, and Aoshi has saved them from this life and has offered them the chance to use their strength for his fitting. And that is pretty cool. It's a good way of using, you know, kind of two birds with one stone. And all of this is all going to serve a purpose by the end of the arc, and we're slowly getting there. So when that happens, we'll go ahead and talk about that. But on the other hand, though, on the where Aoshi recognizes strength and he values strength above all else, I love the way that Sanosuke has put it when he thinks about Kenshin. If any of these men had probably encountered Kenshin before they encountered Aoshi, they would likely be living completely 100% different lives than they do here with Aoshi, where they're trying to prove their strength, they're trying to flex their muscles for somebody, they're working with Kanryu for that opportunity. But if Kenshin had come in contact with them before Aoshi did, if he had brought them in, who knows what any of these men would be doing. Hanya would likely have his face, and Shikijo would not have all of the scars, and he probably wouldn't have all of the muscle that he has. He would probably just be living a normal life in the Meiji. Any of them would probably be merchants or teachers, or, you know, something that the Meiji offered that wasn't previously offered during Edo. And when Sanosuke is talking about Kenshin, I feel like he says it best, that there's no other way to really put it, that when Kenshin acts in the interest of saving another person, he doesn't do it because he sees something in them. He sees them as somebody who is just another life that deserves to live the life that they want. He believes in protecting others. He believes in allowing life to exist in any way, shape, or form. This is why he wants people like Kaoru to have dojos. He wants Yahiko to be the next generation of swordsmen where swords evolve past the form of being used to kill people. He wants people like Megumi to be doctors, and whatever Sanosuke it is that he's doing, I guess being a bum. You know, like everybody has and everybody should have the opportunity to be who they want to be. In terms of being equal to everybody else. You don't have to be equal in terms of your position in life, but you definitely should be allowed the right to live the life you want, as long as you're not exploiting others the way that Kanryu is doing and the way that the Oniwaban are doing in this instance. And I think that that's very important to note. the contrast between Aoshi and Kenshin. Because also Shikijo mentions that if Aoshi had been in Kyoto during the Bakumatsu instead of being at Edo Castle, Aoshi would be the one that is famous today. He would be the one that becomes the living legend. And I guess this is because Aoshi was 14 at the time that he was already in Edo Castle, as well as Kenshin, who was also around the same age. So I kind of like this little detail, not so much because of the nuance that is being discussed here, but just because I like that we kind of get an age range for Aoshi. Aoshi and Kenshin are kind of about the same age. If I remember correctly, Kenshin was 14 years old when he joined the Bakumatsu, when he left his master, and that puts him around the same age as Aoshi. But really, who knows? I can't remember. But with us finding out that Aoshi was 14 years old at the time of the Bakumatsu, and he was in Edo instead of Kyoto, where the war was really raging, we will find out that this is the reason why he values strength, as he was 14 years old, meaning that he was kind of thought to be a prodigy, and so he likely has never had people really tell him otherwise, that there is more to life than strength, because he was already strong at such a young age. He was already in a position where he can recruit people to follow him who are much older than him because of his strength, and there really probably wasn't anybody to tell him otherwise. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Act 25, Duel of the Masters. If you like this video and you want to see more, then consider subscribing to the channel and leave a like and comment down below what you guys think of this chapter. What do you guys think of this conflict? Or what do you guys think of us exploring the motivations of the Oniwaban one character at a time, considering all of the information that we're getting about them? I feel like we're missing kind of backstories for Hyotoko and Beshumi, considering that we've gotten 2 backstories for Hanya and Shikijo in this instance. Who knows? Anyways, I will see you guys in Act 26. Bye, ciao.